All right, so now for our filling here, we have some actual beautiful rhubarb here from Pennsylvania.
It is beautiful.
Which a lot of people aren't familiar with what it looks like in this state. I really love rhubarb. It's one of the things that I love working with.
Same.
Again, it goes great with ginger, apples, citrus, all that sort of stuff. Just be careful you don't ever want to eat the leaves, because they are poisonous.
Great tip
They'll
to
make
put
you
out
very
there.
sick. So I'll have you starting breaking down some of this for us.
Okay.
And you can see here, like, you basically just want kind of a small dice. And I just chop off the ends here, and you can trim off everything but that little very end bit is actually, totally edible. A lot of people end up lobbing that whole thing off, which isn't really
not necessary.
Yeah. So again, some of these they come in varied sizes. You can, you just want kind of a chunky thing. Rhubarb does break down pretty quickly as you're cooking it, so you don't want it to be so small that it just becomes mush.
Okay.
All right, so why don't you get going on that? And,
just do the one?
Yeah,
okay.
We'll do one of those, and then in the meantime, I'll mix together these other things.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, let me grab one of these. So the remaining ingredients here is actually really, really simple. Again, we have the rhubarb here, and we have some apples here. These are Gala apples. Gala's, Fuji's. Yeah, exactly, perfect. So Gala's, Fuji, you want a firm flesh, and we can also get one of these. A firm flesh
Beautiful
apple.
Apples.
Yeah. I don't, these are from Wank's Farm in PA, Three Springs Farm, I should say.
Nice.
Who, we get basically all of our fruit from. He's a really, really good friend of ours, and I'm a huge apple enthusiast, so it's a big fan. So when we're breaking down apples and stuff like this, I don't peel them. You can, some people don't like it. It gets according to whatever. I always at the restaurant, we try to basically use the whole product of everything.
I'm a skin fan.
Yeah, we're a very low waste kind of restaurant, and so I feel like the peels, end up just going in the trash, which is for no reason,
Exactly.
They also do technically add some pectin to the filling because it is in the skins and stuff like that.
So it helps to kind of thicken it up.
Exactly. So when breaking these down, a lot of people sometimes approach cutting an apple and sort of chopping it right down to the core. You'll be better off if you actually cut it down into sort of slabs like this and cutting around the apple like that so that you already start with kind of a square shape.
So you just get rid of that core.
Yeah, exactly. And so then you can just go right down here and chop these down like this.
Well, I feel like that's a fun technique.
Yeah, I feel like that's an easier way.
Totally.
Basically getting it into a square shape so that you can get a square shape. So if you want to just work on that, and then I'll start mixing the rest of the ingredients together. So we have our apples here. Again, that's sort of subject to whatever you'd like. I like the sort of firmer, golden fleshed ones. Gallows, Fuji, Crispin, Gold Rush is actually another one.
Gold Rush, never heard of that one.
That's actually what the apple that I originally did this recipe with, but they have kind of a small window of production. So we're basically going to take all of the fruit here, and then the remaining ingredients, which are brown sugar, white sugar mix. I think the brown sugar adds a little bit of kind of depth and warmth to the filling.
That molasses.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't want to use too much of that because it also does affect the color a little bit. So a little bit of sugar, brown sugar, the salt and the cinnamon are going to go in here. Again, I'm kind of a purist on what things taste like. If I'm going to make a pie with apples and rhubarb, I really want to taste that more. So I'm generally pretty light on spices and things like that. I like to use little bits of things that sort of bring out characteristics of the fruit rather than it, overpowering.
Yeah, you just want to kind of enhance the natural flavors.
Exactly. So this is all going to get mixed together, and then I would recommend letting this sit for a little bit of time.
Okay.
Just so that it basically gives an opportunity for the fruit to release some of its liquid.
Nice.
Once that's done, we can throw this right into the pan. We're going to pretend that it has sat for a little bit longer than this.
Okay.
And then it can go right under the heat.
So you don't need to preheat the pan at all?
No. You actually don't want to because you want this to sort of all come up sort of gently. And then we're going to put a couple tablespoons of butter in here too, which basically just adds richness to it. Butter kind of makes everything taste a bit better. So yeah, it sort of just helps round it out.
Okay.
So we can probably turn this up a little bit. And so, yeah, so this is going to basically cook until it starts to release some of the liquid here.
All right.
Yeah. And then what I like to do is actually take some of the liquid from here and mix that with the cornstarch rather than like adding
Okay.
additional water to
Right.
it, you know, like that.
Let's use that for the
Yeah,
the
exactly.
slurry.
So this will start to break down.
Because the fruit will release a good amount of liquid.
Yeah, a
as it
lot
cooks.
actually. Yeah, I mean, both rhubarb and apples, especially rhubarb, are very high in. They're very high in water. It's what
Yeah.
they mostly are consisted of.
Now, is cornstarch always your preferred thickener for a pie filling?
I probably use cornstarch the most. I've done some things with tapioca too, but
Mm-hmm. I've
sometimes
seen that lately a
yeah,
lot.
sometimes I feel like tapioca gives a little bit of, I don't know, like an industrial kind of feel. It's like it ends
Okay.
up being kind of like rubbery. I think
Yeah.
so. I always like a very like tender, I
Delicate.
guess, filling. Yeah.
Sure.
So you can see there's already some liquid coming out of here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and what we can do is sort of just actually just spoon some of this out if you want to grab one of those spoons there.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get a little bit of juice out of here. It's fine if we get a little fruit in there too.
Yeah, it can't hurt.
Yeah,
It's all going back in the same place.
exactly. So you can see, so I just added in the cornstarch here, and then this is going to keep cooking down until it's sort of, let me get a little bit more of this, until it thickens up.
Okay. And do you want to keep the fruit still kind of al dente, or do you want to really cook it down? at this
So
stage?
yeah, I would say we're going to cook it halfway. So the apples are the main thing that you want to break down a little bit. The rhubarb won't have any problem breaking down.
Okay.
You're mainly just cooking the apples out because they're going to take the longest to cook.
Great.
I'm going to give this just a quick stir.
Okay.
You can see this is starting to thicken up here.
Yeah, big time. Everything's
Yeah.
really breaking down.
And it should get sort of shiny and glossy looking. This is just about there. So now that our filling here is done, you can basically take this out and spoon it into a shallow dish.
Because you want that to cool down before
exactly.
you put it into the pie.
Exactly. So I like to let this cool down, which goes pretty quick. Just put it into a shallow baking dish or something like that and pop it in the fridge for, 45 minutes or so to cool that down.
Can it still be a little bit warm, or do you want it
No, you really want it to be totally
Okay.
cold because you want this to go into the filling, into the pie and not start to melt anything at all.
Great tip.